This video is about why do I not take steroids? The reality is, if you are a trainer who is on social media or on any other social media platform, like YouTube, it's not quite the same as like Instagram, is a little bit different, and you want to compete with everybody else, and you are natural, you could have a really hard time making it because the fitness scene is very loud. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of 20-year-olds out there. And here I am, I'm 48 years old. I look like a normal dude that works out. I don't have overly large developed deltoids, biceps, legs, or whatever. Some people would say my brain is not overly developed either. But the reality is, there is a reason I don't take any drugs. Obviously, that was always something that I have shied away from, despite the fact that my idea was never to look really big. I remember going to study sports science at the University of Frankfurt and discussing PEDs, and I was like, that just is not for me. So never been really my cup of tea. Would I like to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more shredded, not having to work quite as hard? Yeah, absolutely. But the reality is that I'm 48 years old. PEDs will take years of your life. I think the average is what, 3 to 8 years or something like that. They can have really negative effects. Like, you know, who wants to have hair growing on weird places? I mean, I already do that anyway. I'm 48. Like, I've got shit growing in places that, why? Like, it stops growing up here, as you can tell, but it starts growing out the ears, whatever. I digress. Secondly, I have children. I want to make sure that I am a good example for my kids. Like, I am a fit person. I do strength training. I run. I do martial arts. I do a mix of things that I really truly enjoy, and I try to be fit. I also enjoy life. So the extreme examples of organizing my life just based on my running or based on my lifting or based on martial arts is just does not hold any value to me, because I feel like that's not a well-balanced life that I want to show to my kids. I think it's important to follow your passions. I think that's all perfectly fine, but I think that it is also important to make sure what kind of example am I for my kids. And if I took any drugs, that would be something that I would have a really hard time when standing in front of my kids and explaining, why am I doing this? Well, because I want to be bigger, because I want to have Instagram fame or YouTube fame or whatever it is, because I need to have these followers. So I understand that it will make my journey on social media a lot more challenging. It has made it a lot more challenging, right? I don't take my clothes off and I'm just like sex on wheels. I cannot compete with a 20-year-old on drugs. Just cannot. Like, not with that fitness image, I cannot. However, that's also not my target. My target are people who are older, who are in their 40s, 50s and older, and who try to live a healthy lifestyle and work on longevity. And the steroids, not part of that. So now let's discuss the next part. Would I take hormone replacement therapy? Ooh, now this is a little bit different. So hormone replacement therapy is usually something that is given if your natural hormones go into the basement and you start having all sorts of negative side effects, like a lack of motivation, lack of drive, libido, you name it. And would I consider taking hormone replacement therapy to get my testosterone levels, my hormone levels to a normal level? Yes, I absolutely would consider that, because I think that is a quality of life thing for me. And in some ways, for purists, it will make me a hypocrite, and that's perfectly okay. What you also need to make sure is that if you take that course of action, you need to make sure you've got regular blood work, make sure that you don't develop high blood pressure, and so on and so on, or that your prostate health is okay and there's no funny business going on with that, or testicular health. So while I would consider that, at that point, it does not mean that I would just go for it. It would be something that would have to very carefully thought over, and then I would probably make a decision together with my girlfriend about this to see if this makes sense, because I think sometimes I can be a little bit rash in decisions. So having a second person to talk to about that is probably a pretty good thing. Summary: I don't take performance enhancing drugs because I think just for the sake of me looking bigger or recovering faster so I can train harder, it's just not in my values. That's not something that I want to do. And that's something that I'm just also afraid of. I'm afraid of the negative side effects. Now, there are many people who take those drugs who are amazing people, great people, and hardworking people who lift. That's their personal choice. I personally would recommend people from staying away from it, and that's what I'm doing. And if at some point my hormone levels go into the basement where I struggle in my life because I'm just no longer functional, then it's taking hormone replacement therapy under supervision of a physician would definitely be something that I would consider. Hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll talk to you soon.